Hey everyone, Jeff here with the Death Star Human Resources Department newsletter podcast edition. Before we get started, make sure you like and subscribe, and make sure to visit the main page at deathstarhr.com. I'm joined today by my friend Shane Elliott, host of the Feats N Faults newsletter on Substack. Shane, thanks for being here today.
Oh, no problem. You
All
ready to
right.
talk about our preschool show that we've been watching for the past couple
Exactly.
months?
So today, two grown adult men
Yep.
are going to talk about everyone's favorite Star Wars show, Young Jedi Adventures.
People are clamoring. They love it. They hate it's been canceled.
People are like, hey, can you talk about Andor? And we're like, no. We're talking about Young
Mhm.
Jedi Adventures.
That's right.
So that's what we're doing today. So Shane, before we get started, for anyone who does not know, you write a newsletter on Substack called Feats N Faults.
Yes.
Can you explain just what Feats N Faults
Sure,
is?
I'll do it briefly. It has a pretty steep learning curve, but basically, I hate free time, and I made my own point system that tracks based on how much you've accomplished and the faults, what you do wrong, and they just kind of add up points. And it started as a way to compare Doctors and Doctor Who when we were all in lockdown and COVID. And then I realized, well, why don't I just do it for other things too? So then it just kind of created this thing that lets you compare people without power scaling, which I find kind of boring. I don't really care who's the strongest, but what you do with what you have. So,
and you've done everything. We're obviously talking about Star Wars today, but you've done Doctor Who, Game of Thrones.
Yep.
One of our favorite shows, I think, for both of us, What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah.
That was a fun one.
For it was a nice special for October. I had to think, what am I going to count these guys as? I guess they're villains because they eat people in the show. So that was a fun one to do. You'll have to check that one out.
Most people just started baking sourdough during COVID.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I created a whole system, and then I had all this stuff, and it was just for me, and I was like, well, I could write it down and post it somewhere just to keep the data, and if someone else wants to see it, go for it. You're more than welcome to scroll through all the different shows and see how your favorite character stacks up to another.
It's there's a lot. How many? I don't even know if you have this on you. How many different shows have you done? I'm trying to think. There's a lot.
There's a lot. So I do a recap every year. So I just put out a recap. Let me pull that up. So currently, I have covered 695 different characters. The shows, I've done 22 different franchises and 11 standalone movies as of now. So we're 2 years into this, and I'm just having a blast doing it. So anybody who wants to come check it out, please come check it out. Leave in the comments who you want to see done in Feats N Faults style.
And we'll have a link to everything down in the show notes as well. All right, but today, like I said, we are talking about Young Jedi Adventures. For those watching, if you haven't seen Young Jedi Adventures, it is the first Star Wars Disney show that is, according to them, specifically marketed at kids.
Yeah.
I know that kind of the company line in Star Wars is like Wu-Tang, it's for the children, other than Andor. Yeah. But, the Star Wars cartoons are not always very, I don't think child-friendly is not the right word, but, there's sometimes some mature themes. I mean, in Rebels, you have a war criminal, So this is the first one, and I guess the Legos ones are kind of as well, but at the same time, in the ones that just came out that have the Darth Jar Jar in there, Darth Jar Jar is aimed at people like us who are far too in the weeds for their own good. Darth Jar Jar is not for the children. This one, I think there was very little that I picked up on, at least, and I haven't read the High Republic books, but there was not a lot that I picked up on that was like, oh, this is really kind of a shout out for the adult fans or anything like that.
Yeah, it's definitely more towards kids, but if you want to watch the Star Wars universe canonically from the beginning, you have to start with the baby show. So if you want to raise your kids watching Star Wars, it's the perfect way to start it.
Yeah. I mean, it is very much a kid show in that it is, it stars kids. I thought one thing that was kind of interesting is the the voice actors, at least for Kai and Liz, are both teenagers. They're not as young as I think the kids are supposed to be in the show, but it's not like they're using adult voice actors playing kids. And everyone, it's there's some kind of trouble, and in the end everyone learns a life lesson about believing in yourself, or the power of friendship, or something that we adults are too cynical about these days, but it is a good message for the kids, I guess.
It's a good wind down show. Like my wife, sometimes at night she would ask to put it on because it just let her zone out and not worry about anything, because the stakes are pretty low. And it's like, oh no, I need to find this animal, or I need to transfer these, I don't know, cargo to another planet,
Right.
And then you got one where the whole planet's under attack. So it's a good spectrum, but it's a good wind down show. But when you have to take a step back, like I do when I do Feats N Faults, Yoda got a fault because he let these younglings just go off on an adventure on their own, unsupervised.
I kind of had a thought along those same lines, is that there's very little adult supervision in this show. Like, Star Wars has a lot of bad parents as it is, and bad authority figures. But like, we'll get into one of the characters we'll get into is a pilot for a cargo company. The cargo company is run by her parents. However, they are very rarely seen, only a handful of episodes, and they just let their daughter, go gallivanting around with some Jedi in a sector full of pirates.
She has her own starship. All the other pirates seem to know who she is too. Like, she's known, and she's like what, probably 6 or 7?
I was gonna say they're in like the probably 7 to 10 at tops range. So there's this is not quite as bad of parenting as, say, Anakin Skywalker. But they're certainly not good at as good of parents as, say, the Mandalorian,
right?
Who is probably the best parent in the Star Wars universe.
I have a theory about this. In my headcanon, these are all actors, and they were placed on these planets to train the younglings, and that's why Yoda and the other ones aren't afraid to let them go do things.
So basically, it's like a Truman Show situation. Right. Or maybe like a Matrix.
Yeah, just like that, where they have people planted to be, oh, this is trouble, and they come out with their little training sabers that don't really cut through anything. And they learn their lesson. You know? Now that falls apart when you have other characters like Tabor who actually have character growth throughout and don't know it's that. But it's the only way that I can come to terms with these children attacking adults and not getting in trouble, not getting beat. I mean, can you imagine if you were the pirate in this sector and the 7-year-old girl shows up and you're scared because you've been beat before?
I kind of like it. I like it. I'm not gonna lie.
That's the only thing I can think of.
I mean, and a lot of it too is because it is a kid's show, you can't have extremely high stakes that would scare the kids that are watching. Like, there's no, I don't even know who the bad guys are in the High Republic era. I'm guessing the Sith, but I don't actually know, because you don't have an Emperor, obviously, or there's no Stormtroopers or.
Yeah, and I don't think the Sith is mentioned in this show at all.
No, not that I recall. So that's why pirates make for good bad guys for this sort of show. It's pretty low stakes. Everybody's like, oh, pirates, they're bad. You know what those are if you're younger. You don't have to explain like a Gorman massacre to 7-year-olds.
Right. That'd be a fun Young Jedi story.
Yeah. I mean, I think you and I have talked in the past of like, what if you Andorized Young Jedi Adventures? What would that look like?
Oh, man.
Suddenly, the Gorman massacre on Tanu.
I think they would take Nubs off the leash. Can you imagine a real Pubian? How strong he is as a child? Like, that would be crazy.
Yeah. I mean, he's basically... He's like a Wookiee meets an Ewok and is blue.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Well, getting into both the feats and the falls, let's start with what what characters did you choose to rank?
So when I do things, I try and cover as many people as possible because I treat each series as if it's someone's favorite. So I don't want to miss a character.
Mm-hmm.
It also gives me more to put out because it takes me a long time to watch through a whole series and count everything up and then make the graphics and put it out because I'm a madman. So I did two different ones. I did ones for the heroes, and I did one for the villains.
Okay.
I thought we could talk about the heroes today.
All right.
So I covered all three of the younglings, our
Mm-hmm.
main ones, Kai, Nubs, and Liss. Nash, which is the pilot we were talking about, and her droid RJ.
Okay.
And then later on in the series, a Padawan named Wes showed up.
Mm-hmm.
So I also covered him.
Okay.
So out of those, who do you think would come out on top?
See, I was thinking about this earlier. My initial reaction is Kai would come out on top because he's the main character, but I think he's probably got a few too many faults. Like he's kind of the headstrong wannabe Jedi Knight, so a lot of times his actions lead to trouble.
Yeah.
Not intentionally, but because he doesn't, slow down and think about his surroundings or something, it tends to cause trouble. So I'm going to say...
That's a pretty good thought process.
I'm going to say Liss is probably number one, would be my guess.
Because she's in less trouble than the others?
Yes. I mean, I think they all probably... I think their feats are probably all fairly comparable. I would guess probably Kai gets a little more because he tends to have a little more screen time.
Mm-hmm.
But Nubs doesn't really do anything wrong. But there's a few episodes where he loses something or something like that. And he's there a little more for comic relief. So I think he does something wrong, it can lead to a funny situation. So I think kind of. By process of elimination, I'm going to go with Liss as as your number one. I think probably in last place for the heroes, it may be Wes just because he doesn't have enough.
He doesn't have as much screen time. That can really affect your score.
Yeah, because he comes on in season 2.
Yeah.
And even then, he's not in every episode character.
No.
Season 2 is 23 episodes. He's probably in, I don't know, half of them maybe. Is just me going off top of my head. So yeah, that's those are my predictions.
It's a good thought process because the main three are within 5 points of each other. So they are very close. So in last place, you were right, it's Kai. But I went in expecting him to be first. And the reason why is so his total feat score is 75, which is really high.
Yeah, that's good.
Normally, for a series like this, I would expect maybe 30s, 40s, something like that. Other characters that got in the 70s, you're looking at Black Widow and Spider-Man, from the MCU. But he had 31 faults because, like you said, pretty much every episode, he's the one that learns the lesson or the one that has the problem that everybody has to solve. So that affected his score pretty badly. So he was last with a total of 44 Feats N Faults score. Beating him by just 4 points is Nubs. So you are correct. Liss is number one with a total of 49. She beat Nubs by 1 point.
Oh, wow.
And the reason she did that is because she only had 8 faults.
See, that checks out because she was the the smart problem solver character usually. They all kind of took turns being, the troublemaker, whatever it was, but she was almost always the one who to be like, okay, we've lost this part, or we need to get this food for a party, or whatever it was. And a lot of the time she was the one who would come up with the plan to say, all right, here's how we're going to do it.
Yeah. She started off really slow. I thought she wasn't going to compete at all with the others, but as more came out, they kept going down, and she slowly went up, and she just overtook him in the end. I think it was the last episode when she earned her 1 point over Nubs. So
Man,
it's
a photo
tenacity.
finish.
Yeah.
A buzzer beater.
Yeah, so I always make little like calling cards at the end with my points. So I'll go over some of my favorites. So for
let's
her,
just go last to first.
Yeah. So in last place, you were right. It was Wes Vinnick. He showed up. He didn't do much. He only had 6 feats. He had 1 fault, so it's a total of 5. He stole a ship back that was stolen. He shot down some ships. He freed a couple people. There really isn't anything that spectacular there. His faults was that he trusted younglings with highly explosive coaxium. So
yeah.
Do you remember in the Han Solo show?
Yeah,
like
in
that
Solo.
coaxium, they're like sweating, these adults, and he's just like flinging it to these younglings.
Yeah.
Like it's nothing.
I had the same thought when the coaxium came up. I was thinking about, Solo when they're boosting it. It was on the train at the beginning.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh yeah, you look at this wrong, and we're gonna blow the planet up like it's the Death Star.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Wes is like, all right, catch, guys.
Yeah, and they're just no one even bats an eye. It's crazy.
Maybe this goes to your theory that it's a simulation, that it wasn't real coaxium.
No, they're just like, what's an explosive? Oh, coaxium. You got to be careful with this, kids.
Yeah, because they could. Yeah, lack of supervision. I mean, he was just there because they kind of, he was introduced in season 2, and it was like, okay, every season they added a few more characters.
Yeah,
and it was okay. Like, well, if there's going to be younglings, and there's already the Jedi Master there, we ought to have a Padawan in there as well.
Yeah, because the Jedis and the adults in the show are pretty faultless in the writing, because they're the ones that do the teaching and tell them what to do. So I think they just needed a character to go with them that you could also teach a lesson with or make mistakes. So he just didn't have very much screen time and didn't do much.
Yeah, lots of faults on the part of the adult Jedi for letting the children run around the galaxy like that. But...
Yeah, I ended up... Really, Yoda's the only adult that I kept in mind with this. The other masters, they just weren't in it enough. They didn't do anything. They mostly just say something in the beginning. The only other that I thought about was the one that normally goes with Kai, that he normally becomes a Padawan of at the end of the show. Yes.
I'm drawing a blank on his name, but I know what you're talking about.
But he has a really cool dog, so...
Yes. Yeah, that was a cool character idea for Ember, the dog that barks flames.
Love it. Okay. So then, after Wes, in 5th place, you have the droid, RJ.
Yeah.
I wanted him to do more, because I'm really excited at the end of all this to just compare all the droids and see where they're at. Right now, R2's definitely the highest that I've shared, but I will say Chopper gives him a run for his money.
I was just going to say, I mean, if you give Chopper 1 point for every Imperial he kills, he would probably be number 1 overall.
Yeah. It's, the problem is, I have everything with Star Wars done and cataloged right now, but I'm holding off because the Mandalorian movie's coming out, and a couple of the Rebels characters are in it. So why put it out when it's just going to be out in a year? I'm going to have to adjust it.
I was saying you've got Ahsoka season 2 this year.
Yeah. So I'm holding off until Mandalorian and Ahsoka are done, and then the floodgates are open.
Oh man, I can't wait for that.
Yeah. So I'm doing what I can here and there, mostly prequel stuff, but yeah.
Well, I kind of had the same feelings about you about RJ, and then I almost picked him last, just because, he does stuff, but not a lot. He's more there just to, be Nash's sidekick and just kind of be there on the ship.
He doesn't even do that much tech stuff. Like the stuff I have here written down, like he freed their ship from a clamp, and he got like this artifact, the Staff of Tanu, back. But he doesn't really plug into anything. He mostly just runs around and there. So he didn't do that well. In 4th place, it's Nash, which is our pilot. She had a total of 34, so it's a pretty big jump there from 8 to
Yeah.
34. That's because she's one of the main characters too. She's not in all of them, but
She's
she's
it's pretty close.
she's in there a good bit. I have here that she was in, can you imagine this, 51 episodes, because they're broken in half, so each one you watch is 2.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna feel sick once you hear this. The main ones, we watched 113 episodes of the show.
Yeah, there's like 4 or 5 of them that are just like one episode, but yeah, everything's like a little 2, each episode is 2, kind of 12-minute episodes probably.
I think it started in 2023, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around there.
Yes.
And every time I turned on Disney Plus, it was like a jump scare, because it's not like a big show that they have a big campaign around and announce like, oh, a new season coming out. So I would just turn it on and see that there's 12 more episodes I have to watch of Baby Jedi, and I have to pull out my spreadsheet, and it's just like, come on.
You're the only person I know who like leisure is a chore.
Oh yeah, for sure. I work and then I come home, and I don't know, if I just sit and watch something, I feel guilty that I'm not getting something done. So it's just become a habit now. I just have my phone in my notes app, and something happens, and I'll just, if it's something cool, I'll type what they did. But I have the point system in my head, so if it's like the 5th time that they knock somebody out, I'll just put a 1 or I'll put a 2, and I just know how many points they're earning. So it's become just secondhand.
It's an ingrained reflex at this point. Yeah, I almost thought, as you kind of said what you said about Kai, I almost thought that Nash might be able to take him over, but I was just kind of like, she's not in every episode, and when it's not, and even episodes that she might be in, a lot of the times it's like, oh, we're in trouble, we need to call Nash, and she just kind of like shows up at the end, or shows up for a pickup or something like that.
Yeah, she was 10 points behind Kai, so it wasn't far. She only had 3 faults to her name, so yeah, it wasn't that bad. Like, her faults were she revived Black Bolt, which is like a pirate that they fight. She didn't grab the staff when Black Bolt was trapped. She just ran away or did something, I forget. But and then the last one, she had a harp that she wanted for her mom, and she just kind of threw it into a ravine.
Yes, I remember that one.
So those are the only 3 that she had. So she did pretty good. Like I said, she's at 34. So if I pull up my master doc here, other characters around there, you got 34. So she beat Winifred Sanderson by 1 point. So there you go. If you ever wanted to compare Star Wars with Hocus Pocus.
I hadn't, but it's a good comparison to be able to know to make.
Yeah.
I thought Nash was a pretty good character in the sense, like, and again, these are all, I'm trying to think about this as in, like, if I were 8 years old, or like, what if I was creating this show, like, making characters for the younglings. And I was like, who as a kid, if you're watching Star Wars, if you don't want to be a Jedi, you probably want to be a starship pilot.
Yeah.
So, again, I would ding her moms as being very irresponsible and allowing this child to not only fly a starship that can go into hyperspace. It's not like she can just it's not like a land speeder that can just cruise around the ground. Like, they go into hyperspace, they go different places. And, her moms kind of seem to be absentee parents. Like, I don't want to judge too much. They're small business women. They're trying to keep their thing going. Like, I understand that completely, but High Republic CPS probably should have at least taken a look at what was going on.
Yeah, probably. But also, that's a good point. The show also did a really good job with just representation in general. Because,
very much.
Again, can you think of another Star Wars show or movie where there is a black lead with then also a black master, the Jedi, And if that were in a show just nowadays in general, I feel like the comment boards would be going crazy about that.
you and I have talked about the Acolyte before, so yeah, I mean, I think that was probably the best show in terms of representation in Star Wars.
Yeah.
As two white guys are talking about this.
Right. Yeah.
But
experts.
yes, exactly, exactly. But I mean, yeah, it definitely was. I thought that as well. That you had a pretty diverse cast, and I think just about everybody could watch the show.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, there's somebody I can relate to.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice that children can have that, but grown adults have to go on message boards and complain about witches and giving birth, and
we're not getting into the Acolyte today. I don't have the time for that. Anybody who wants to see the Acolyte, Shane and I have talked about it already. I'll put a link to it.
Yeah. So that covers all of those characters. So, yeah, none of them really had like big save the planet moments.
No.
Not even really save the town moments. Just small stuff. Like for Kai here, I wrote down he saved Nubs, and one thing I do want to get into is he saved Tabor a couple times, and I really like him and Tabor's relationship to the point where I even got a little emotional on some of the episodes, and it's what I wish that the sequel trilogy would have done with Rey and Kylo. I really wanted one of them to switch sides or them both to switch sides, but it never really got there. And I feel like this kids show handled that relationship a lot better than in the main series.
Yeah, no, I know we're just talking the heroes. Tabor is probably the best character, I think, in terms of he actually displays a character arc.
Yeah, and for those who've never watched this and never will, Tabor is like a princeling that...
Spoiler alert here.
Yeah, spoilers. He's a princeling, and he just wants freedom, and he wants to go out and be like the best pirate and make his own name. And throughout the series, we learn more about his backstory, and Kai and him kind of have this friendship with his like dual identities, and they start to become entangled, and then he eventually has to choose a side, and he goes with the kids, and he becomes good, and it's a really good lesson they teach about just betrayal through it and trusting others, and then at the end that trust leading to seeing the better in another person, which I found that storyline really good. It's one of the reasons that I stuck with the show, besides my crazy obsession of finishing things. But I just really liked how they handled that. It was just well done.
Yeah, it was definitely, because I mean, I think all the Jedi younglings kind of showed some growth, but it was more growth in the sense of like, today's lesson is about friendship, and they learn about friendship, not necessarily other than the arc with Tabor, that you kind of see over the series.
Yeah. Yeah, Tabor is a completely different character by the end of the series, and that's the only character you can say that about.
Yeah, I kind of wondered, because I definitely did not see the twist coming. I'll be honest about that, and I kind of wondered if it was always planned that way, or if it was like, okay, let's, kind of do something with his character to shake it up a little bit. Like if he's just a pirate every time, like that kind of stops being that interesting.
Yeah. No, I didn't see that coming either, which again says a lot for this show. I don't know if I was just taken off guard because I wasn't expecting anything from this children's show, but normally you see twists coming a mile away, especially when you watch as much stuff as you and I do.
Right.
This took us by surprise.
Yeah, like I made the comment a while ago regarding like, The Mandalorian and Grogu and Ahsoka season 2. Like if you're a reasonably in-depth Star Wars fan, you could probably guess the plot of both of those movies with a decent amount of accuracy, just based on the information that's out there, and just based on kind of the beats that Star Wars hits. But so this was and I think part of it too is, with a kid's show, you're not expecting, a dual identity twist.
No. But all in all, I was frustrated with the release schedule of it, just because I'm a grown adult and I have to watch this children's show. But if you take that out of it, I think it's a pretty well done show. The animation is pretty well. It's kiddie. It's for kids. But if I have a kid and they want to watch the show, I'd sit down and watch an episode or two with them. I don't think it's that bad. So
No, it's definitely a good introduction. I have friends that have kids who have tried to get them into Star Wars. I think you start with like the original trilogy,
mm-hmm.
and I think the thing they run into is like Darth Vader is a little too scary for them,
Yeah.
depending on the age. So this is kind of there's nobody really scary. Maybe the pirate droid might be the scariest one.
A little bit. Yeah, but everybody's pretty comical. Like even the main like the trio of villains, Tabor and EB and Pord, I think is her name.
Yeah.
A little like cute, adorable Gamorrean guard you've ever seen in your life, and she's the villain. It's just
exactly. I mean, like maybe the one who's in charge of the Gangles. I'm drawing a blank on her name. Yes, like that might be, like that one. She or the pirate droid might be the closest thing to a scary villain, but it's not bad. And I was looking. It was a pretty well reviewed show as well, and it even check my notes here. It even it won a couple children's Emmys.
Oh, did it?
Not for the show itself, but for one for editing. Let me double check I have that right. One for editing and kind of one for sound design or sound editing, and it got nominated for a handful of other children's Emmys and like children's programming awards.
Well, good for them. I see why they would. It was. I mean, I don't have a lot of these under my belt, children's shows, but as far as they go, it looked pretty good.
Yeah, and I think they did a good enough job of kind of tying it into the bigger Star Wars universe. And part of it is, it's the High Republic, so you can't really tie it into the movies. You can't tie it into like the Clone Wars or anything like that. So,
really
Yoda.
He's the only attaching thread is Yoda.
The other thing that I think I would say I'm 99% sure of this. The couple episodes, I think it's in season 1, where they go to the Starlight Beacon, that space station. That I'm 99% sure is something that is from the High Republic books.
Oh, okay.
So I've had like the High Republic has ended. I think it ended last year with like the last books. I've had like a full read through, is on the agenda. But I think of like how long it took me to read the New Jedi Order books. I was like, I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could. I mean, it took me a year and a half to do New Jedi Order.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't know actually even know how many books there are for High Republic, because you've got the main books, then there's like a pretty good chunk of young adult books, and there's comic books, and there's probably some like short stories and like ebooks and whatnot. And I was like, I need to compile a list of everything. I know there's a couple people on Substack that are like Star Wars book focused, and one of them has a kind of a High Republic reading list, and I've just kind of looked at it and thought like, that's a commitment.
It really is. Before I started doing Feats N Faults, I like completing things. I don't know, it's just in my blood. So I looked up on Wikipedia the entire list from beginning to end, and I just started reading books, and I was like, I'm not doing this. It was just so much. And if I give up on something like that, it's pretty bad.
Were you reading the like the old books, the Legends books?
No.
It'll always be the expanded universe to me. But...
Yeah, I knew they weren't canon anymore.
Yeah.
So I was like, I might as well just not and skip those. But even skipping those, it was crazy.
Yeah. When a little tidbit, I think I've posted this before, but when the Thrawn trilogy, the original Thrawn trilogy was kind of the first of the expanded universe books, and there was some
books.
Oh, absolutely. Those are my sequel trilogy. But there had been some disagreement in Lucasfilm as to, there was a camp that wanted to make make him more literature, for lack of a better way to put it. That, we're not going to release a ton. These are going to be, I don't want to use the word high quality, because it's also, a lot of it's subjective, but, they wanted to make it like, these are books for adults. And there was the other side of it where they're just like, man, we're cranking these out, put them out in paperback, we're just going to sell them to everybody. And, you see which side won out.
Yeah.
I mean, merchandising.
Yep.
Yogurt had it right.
We'll have to talk about how you like how they adapted Thrawn in Rebels when we finally put out a Rebels after the Mandalorian comes out.
Oh yes. No, I think you and I will have a fun talk about Rebels, because I love Rebels. I think it's fantastic. I think it takes We're way off topic.
No way, yeah. Well, there's only so much you can talk about.
There's only so much you can say. I'm trying to let me see if I have anything else written down for Young Jedi Adventures. The other thing that was kind of the tie-in is a couple times they go to Batu and Black Spire Outpost, which is the Galaxy's Edge world.
Yeah.
So that was a definite one of like, hey kids, look how cool this is. Tell your parents you want to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Really.
But yeah, no, with Rebels, I thought Rebels, like, you get all the good of the Clone Wars. Like, you get interesting stories, interesting characters, but they do a good job that it's more linear. The Clone Wars skips around. And I think kind of because you don't have, 7 seasons, 8 seasons of Clone Wars, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I think for Rebels, the seasons are a little shorter as well. Like, it's a lot tighter, and the story is a lot better. Or the story is not necessarily better, but it flows better.
Yeah, because with the original Clone Wars, I even think some of the episodes are out of order and like timeline wise.
Yes, they are.
So, because when I was going through calculating points, I was like, wait a minute, because I have to be pretty focused on this stuff. So,
I would bet Wikipedia has, like, if you wanted to watch the Clone Wars in the order that the events happen, I'm sure there's a list out there.
I'm sure there is. Yeah. One last tidbit about this. We were talking about how I like how this handled that relationship better than the sequel trilogy. Well, with this being better than the sequel trilogy, I just happened to see here on my master list that Rey only scored 47, which means that Nubs and Liz both scored higher than Rey by just a couple points.
I mean, the 8-episode Nubs series, I think he's earned it.
Ooh. Do you think they'll ever do a series for children who grew up with this, with these characters slightly older?
If there's money to be made, Disney is interested.
That's true. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think, like I said, it's pretty well reviewed. It seemed like from what I read, it had pretty good ratings. So it will be, I think you're right. It'll be interesting. If you're 8 years old right now and watching, Young Jedi Adventures in 10 more years, 15 more years, are you going to be on, I don't know, whatever our version of the internet is at that point, posting about how badly, you want the Nubs series to come out?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like there's been so much merchandise, like people recognize Nubs specifically. Like if there was a show coming out with him older, maybe targeted towards like what they did with Skeleton Crew, I could see that being a success.
Yeah.
We'll just have to see if these characters... I'm just curious if they'll ever connect with the main universe. But
I think it'll depend of what does Disney want to do with the High Republic?
Yeah.
Because, that is kind of the other problem is you can't just drop them into, kind of the timeline that we're playing in right now with the live action stuff. You've got to say, I'm dedicating myself, or we're dedicating some High Republic time, screen time. I think that's probably kind of the one thing that might stop them.
Yeah.
All right. So overall, I think we kind of talked about it. Overall, though, you seem to be pretty positive about Young Jedi Adventures for what it is.
Yeah, it's good. I've seen a lot of crap, but it's good. If you want to watch it, I'm not going to give any judgment. It's a fine show. You want to watch all of Star Wars, say you've seen it all canonically. It's technically at the very beginning. It's listed as canon. So if you want to watch it, see a couple kids run around being Jedi, go for it.
Yeah, I kind of thought about it, and I was trying to think about, like, what do I really think about? Because I'm obviously not the target audience, other than, a Star Wars fan. Like, the shows for me are like Andor and, Ahsoka and all that. And it's like, I think if I were 8 years old, I would probably really enjoy it. Like, it's colorful, it's fun, the kids are interesting, you have kind of fun scenarios to put them in danger, but they're not in any real danger that would be scary to somebody. Yeah. So I don't know if I could put it on a 1 through 10 scale, because it's kind of grading on a curve, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's a fun show. Yeah. I'm not gonna just kind of turn it on like I would with Mando or.
Oh, I'm not rewatching it. I'm not clamoring to be like, oh, I remember that. That was a good episode. I'm gonna go back and watch that. But,
did you watch the shorts?
Yeah, they're counted in it because I forget where in the timeline they happened, but they did happen. So I started with the shorts and then I went to the show. So they're calculated. I try my best to make sure everything's covered.
I figured that would not get by a completist like you. Nope. I actually did not watch the shorts. I didn't realize they existed until I was looking stuff up today, and I was like, I've had my fill of the Young Jedi Adventures.
Yeah, don't worry. There's no big lore drops. We're all good.
All right. Well, I think we both agree. Young Jedi Adventures, not bad. Check it out.
Good. Go for it.
All right. Well, Shane, tell everybody again where they can find your stuff.
Okay. You can find me, Feats N Faults, on Substack. Links are probably down or above. I don't know, somewhere in this link.
Down.
They're down. Go down. Click it. Come join the community. We just like to talk about pretty much anything. And if there's a show or character that you want to cover, go for it. Just a little sneak peek, because right now we're doing a children's show, but coming up later in this month, I'm really excited. We're doing the Dollars trilogy with The Man with No Name.
Oh, cool.
So we do Westerns, we do children's shows, we do horror, we do everything. So
everything.
Anything you want to see covered, put in the comments, and we'll get to it eventually.
And you have a comic book as well, don't you?
Oh, I do. Yeah, I write Kill Feed, so you can. I have links in my description and on my main page you can click. So if you want to give that a read, go for it.
Yeah, and I'll put a link to that in the show notes as well. And as always, you can find the Death Star Human Resources Department at deathstarhr.com. Sign up there. Shane, thanks for being on today.
Always a pleasure.
All right, I'll talk to you some other time, and may the Force be with you.